Hey, it's Dr. Phil here, and I want to tell you about The Real Story. This is a daily podcast that I'm going to do 5 days a week. Here's what it is. I'm talking about things in the news with no spin, no BS, just the truth. The real story. Look, there's a lot of noise out there, and most of it is just that. It's noise.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum.
No,
I'm really angry about this.
No, because this
I'm
is what
really
people
angry.
need to...
Whose university? Our university!
And what I'm going to do every day is I'm going to make an effort to cut through the headlines. Go behind the headlines, go behind the hype, go behind the hidden agendas, and bring you the real story. Everybody that writes a story starts with a bias, right? I mean, nobody starts from zero. And an awful lot of them have a really powerful bias.
Our world's coming to an end. Help us, Jesus. The country ain't the country I was raised in. No, it's better.
They're all miserable. They want all of America to be as miserable and unhappy and unloved as they are, and we're just not going to go along with it.
So I'm going to choose stories that jump out at me, stories that challenge our thinking, stories the mainstream media distort to push their own narrative. And some of them are way off the charts. And it comes with bias from the left, bias from the right, bias from all different angles.
We have not heard a single member of the Trump administration say that this was a mistake.
Trump
we
did.
Need leadership.
Trump did.
We need leaders who...
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who thus far survived pediatric cancer.
I'm not just talking about politics. I don't know anything about politics. So if I'm talking about a political story, it'll be something that doesn't have to do with the politics of the story. Stories that we can learn from. Gallup says that only a third of Americans trust the media. I'm not one of those third that trust the media, and I'm in the media. Now, the things that I say, you don't need to agree with me, but you can trust that I'm going to give you the facts. Now, I've built a career on asking tough questions, thinking critically, and calling it like I see it, whether people like it or whether they don't. Facts come first. I'm looking at this saying, how is the jury supposed to solve this problem if they don't have all the pieces to the puzzle?
They wouldn't listen to him. They wouldn't talk to him. They didn't want to hear his testimony. They knew what he was going to say.
You wouldn't get this conversation on CNN or Fox, either one. The conversation we're having where I'm saying you need to listen to what he has to say before you make up your mind. We're clearly talking about a terror group. This is not a government, it's a militia, a terrorist group. To me, it seems that these politicians are creating what they fear the most. And you don't want to take any report at face value. Not from me, not from anybody. Do the homework, think for yourself, deprogram yourself, because the truth is out there. You just have to do a little work to get to it. On The Real Story, I'm going to talk about media bias, logical fallacies, confirmation bias, and the difference between education and indoctrination. I want to show you how I cut through the noise and how to get to the truth and make sense of the world around you. The News on Merit is where you can go for fair, factual, straight down the middle reporting. The Real Story is different. This is where I'm going to tell you what I really think, how I see the news, what it means, and what you can do about it. Now, I'm going to give you the facts. I'm going to say A, B, C, D. Here's what happened. Straight up, here's what happened. You can decide if it's good news or bad news. It's not just about what's happening. I want to talk about why it's happening. Anybody can talk to you about what happened, but seldom do they talk to you about why it happened, and more importantly, how. I want to talk to you about how to think critically, how to use knowledge as power. I've been saying for a long time, you either get it or you don't. One of the first questions you need to ask yourself is, what's motivating the people that are telling you the story? And what are the motivations of the people in the story? Think about this logically. If somebody's selling you a car and they're telling you, oh, this is a good car, it's a sound car, wouldn't you want to know if they stand to make money whether you buy the car or whether you don't? If you're talking to a mechanic and they say, this car is solid as a rock, would you want to know if the mechanic makes $1,000 if you buy it and nothing if you don't? You would want to know that, right? You want to know why people do what they do and don't do what they don't do. That's just one of the critical thinking steps you need to go through. I want to talk about how to challenge the bullies, and there are so many bullies in the media. How to stand up, speak freely, and stop staying silent just so others can stay comfortable. I don't want people to come at you with things you don't agree with, but you don't have the information to push back. I don't want to just tell you they're full of it. I want to tell you why they're full of it. This week on The Real Story, we're going to talk about congressional crybabies.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House.
I say it ain't easy being green. Kermit always says that. You got to believe Kermit. I'm talking about Al Green on the Democratic side and Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Republican side.
That means Congress doesn't vote.
Am I talking politics? No, I'm not. I'm talking about human behavior. Here are two people, one on each side of the aisle, disrespecting our country, disrespecting the office of the President of the United States. And I don't care whether it's Trump or Biden. Don't disrespect the office of the United States of America. The push to eliminate the Department of Education.
Donald Trump just basically had a photo op today. He didn't dismantle the Department of Education. It has to be done by an act of Congress.
I would like to have an NBA or NFL of teachers, the most extraordinary teachers, teach the entire country.
Who would run that? The education department?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You might really be surprised, my opinion on that. Attacks on Tesla. You're going to be really surprised at what I tell you about that. Harvard's free tuition. Is it tuition for education or indoctrination? We're going to talk about sports. Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Not a fan of the Buffalo Bills, but I'm going to talk to you about the mindset of a winner. We're going to talk about how he went from hayseed to hero. And take it from me, I grew up a hayseed, so I know one when I see one. And I also know a hero when I see one. Whether you're a Buffalo Bills fan or a football fan or not, this is a really special human being. I'm going to see you every day of the week. Let's get real about what's going on in this world, and let's do it together.